Old time high. We're at old time high. All time high. We hit a all time high. Oh, nice. All time high on Saturday night, right during the piano stream. It couldn't have been better. I remember looking up and going, oh shit, man, it's all time high and I'm stuck in some stupid song. But it was nice to see right on the stream. Makes it more epic than ever. Makes all those titles a little more prophetic. Remember when I was just like, I would watch all time high, Bitcoin all time. It never would. Then it was. It was perfect. Let's see where we are. We threw a big wick here down at a bit up to 125. So on this one, I'm on Bitfinex. This is the 4-hour chart on Bitfinex. It says 125.6. It's crazy. 125.6. Saturday night, I think around 11 o'clock. I could be wrong, maybe. And then we had a classic retrace down to the 38 or the 23.6% fib, which is not my favorite fib. I would have liked to see it go down to the 38.2% fib down at 120 because it would have crushed this Channel of Ascension's support, which would be a nice bounce, a nice textbook bounce. Right now, remember, it's as heartbreaking as that seems. It would have only been, from candlestick to, it would have been a 3% dump, right? So it's just 3% to make a full textbook retracement to re-engage the market, maybe get out a little bit of leverage that might be frothing it up. But we got the bounce from the 23.6. When I see a massive pump like that and then a retrace only to the 23.6% fib, I think there's still a lot of pith and vinegar in the old market. There's a lot of excitement still. People may be feeling the FOMO. However, it does leave some stones unturned when it comes to the frothiness of it. But I mean, here we are. We're almost, we're less than $1,000 away from all-time highs, 125K US, which is pretty exciting. Now, let's take a look at this MACD. Yeah, the MACD's kind of, you could say there's some divergence here. It's, higher highs and lower highs. That is a little bearish. However, it's a 4-hour chart. So she's a noisy little so-and-so. No one really cares about the 4-hour chart. It's just fun to look at. It's like a pretty girl, pretty model. They're just fun to look at. Like, look how pretty that is. That's weird. What's the percentage of the population that's pretty? Although remember, being pretty all your life is one of my 5 never dates. I don't think I put that video out, did I? I put it out about guys, 5 never date guys, but I also had 5 never date girls. I just never got around to it. Or maybe I didn't, I don't even remember. But being pretty all your life is a massive red flag in my books. 124.6. Now, it would be nice to hit all-time highs on this little Monday morning stream up in Kanadistan. That would be something else. I also wanted to make sure that all the Canadian subscribers, if you're here or watch it later, make sure you find me on Twitter, maybe DM me or something like that, because we need to get a cell going here in Canada, as how we move forward with some of the weirdness that's going through. We strengthen numbers, so to speak. In my bubble, there's nobody, so it's almost like I'm gonna have to take my astronaut food and my water purifier and hope for the best. Let's take a look at the ding dong here. Look at that. Get out of here. TradingView is asking you to. Okay, there we go. Look at this. Can you see this? What we did this I remember here, back to August 27th, where I said, oh no, it's way back here. August 4th. Or I could see continued action to the downside, maybe retest this channel of Eternal Monotony's support. And if we break it, which we never did, we would probably, come under the 200 moving average and everyone would lose their marbles. And then we would finally, maybe bounce back up around here. I could see this happening and then, maybe blast off. So that was 2 months ago. And how many days am I off here? It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A week off. Or a week. This doodle was sold you short by a week, but it's not bad. Very predictable in a bull market, especially heading into Q4. Now, my only trepidation, if you will, is that I don't like to be on the side of the boat where everyone is. That's where I start getting like the public anxiety. It's like, oh my God, am I a member in this club? I don't want to be a member in this club. So it is a little one-sided. And as the market matures and the participants are aware of the cycle, I think that makes the cycle change. So when people say, do you believe in the cycle? I do. However, when everyone knows about the predictability, the simple predictability of the Bitcoin cycle, it starts to get skewed because, it can't go on forever where everyone knows it's the bottom and everyone knows it's the top. Now there's gray areas where the bottom is and where the top is, but we essentially know, Q4, the post-halving years, when we see the most fireworks in the least amount of time. I'd say like the lead up. Like think about the fireworks from 115 local bottom to 125. It's over $100,000 US. That's crazy, right? So now, how much upside will we see in the next month or two? Will be the fireworks of this epic bull run. You hear Fibonacci? Fibs. What was I thinking about? Yeah, the epic last 2 months. If everyone knows that this is like, imagine how easy it would be just to go get a notification. Oh, it's Q4 of the four-year cycle. Okay, yeah. Well, all right, time to dump 100K into it and get 30% insta returns. If it was that easy, that's when the market starts to get skewed because you see people start betting on the 7 and the 11 on the craps table, right? There's always one guy there. Every time when I've been back in my Vegas gambling days, there was always an Asian. It was always a Chinese guy. You'd have this massive table of everyone's in the money, and then this Chinese guy walks up and starts betting on 11, and sure enough, 11 eventually rolls, right? You'll eventually get one, a 7 or 11. So we're not quite at where we thought we would be. I had 128.2. So how far away are we from 128.2 with the 2-month prediction, 7-day off the doodle, and how much off the actual 2.8%. I'll take that as a hella win, seeing as it was a 2-month doodle, Scotty Mo. 2-month doodle. Are we so this will be interesting today on the daily. If we can close this candle, that which once wicked will get candlesticked. That would be hella bullish, meaning we'll probably, no guarantees, but if we can close today above that wick, that will tell the robots that we're in business. There's Scotty Mo. Yeah. Bruce Mai, is that Bitcoin graphic moving at all? Well, when I do this, it moves. What Bitcoin graphic? YouTube live streamer lesson 1. Don't get caught up in comments. Although I do. 124. 124K. I don't see your 120. Oh, that, well, I don't know. Don't get caught up in comments. That's when I started. Someone forgets to put the volume on. I'm like, there's no volume. And then I go in and rearrange everything. And it was really just the one person. Look at this weekly. Oh, I see what you mean. No, 124.5. Let's see. Where am I on this? Am I here? Let's renew. Dun, dun, dun. There you go. Thanks, Bruce. Turns out I was in the wrong. There we are. We're refreshed now. Where are the comments here? There it is. Here we go. Yeah. So let me get this back here. Rearrange the windows here. Look at that weekly candle. That is unbelievable. Let's see if we beat our lead up. This one is a 10% candle. Now you got to remember, we're in the law of large numbers, so 10% is, what is this? So 10% from 112. Where was this one? This was our last massive one. Candlestick to candlestick. We beat it. It was 9%, 10%. Beat it by 1%. That is what I like most about this chart, this weekly chart, the Wookie, is that we for sure candlestick this wick. And it's nice to start candlesticking wicks to the upside, isn't it? It's like we spent years candlesticking wicks to the downside. It was almost every week I was making a video with those, those little brats, the children's choir. That which one swicked will get candlesticked. It was always to the downside. It was never to the upside. So yes, we do go to the upside every now and then, especially in a bull market. What are you going to do? You're eventually going to candlestick these wicks. And it's always good to candlestick the wicks because, when you see these graveyard wicks to the upside, it's just telling you that there's a lot of sellers there waiting to press that sell button with leverage too. But unless they're insiders, and there are insiders, most short sellers will lose their bag eventually. I've seen it a million times. But it's kind of like the short sellers are like Brody and Brady and Grody or whatever their names was on Point Break, with the handsome and charismatic Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. Those crazy surfers that like to get the 1,000-year storm. Those are short sellers. That's what the short sellers like. They like to get max leverage and dump it at the top. It is quite a skill, but it is just, it's a degen gambling gambit that, rarely, if you can do it a few times in your life and get out of there unscathed, well, maybe you'll make some money, but that's not how it works. You do it a couple times, you think, I know how to do this. I'm going to do it again. What I like most about this pump is that we're still at 59 with the fear and greed. With a 10% weekly candle, ladies and gentlemen, a 10% weekly candle. Oh, sorry, an issue has occurred. Come on, Coin Market Cap. I'm in the middle of a live stream. Must you? There we go. 59. This is what's telling me there's a lot more upside. Now, normally, back in the slow build of the bull market, if we had a 10% gain in a week, we would fire up to like 80 for sure. So there's still room in the fear and greed. And the reason why that's not too greedy is because it's a little bit, the console ranging stayed its course a little long. So people are very neutral minded as to how far our expectations of where it's going is so far that it's hard to get greedy at this point because everyone's like, hell yeah, it should be 190 by now. Let's effing go. So that's why we're staying, in my opinion, why we're staying low. And normally we would have skyrocketed to 80 back like a year ago. 4.26 trillion overall crypto market cap. It's crazy. Are we going to hit 5? We got to hit 5. We got to hit 5. Look at this bullish inflows. Now, this is going back. What day is this? The 2nd. So this is Thursday or Friday, maybe? I don't know. I don't even know what the hell day it is today. Almost 1 billion of inflows to Bitcoin. That's retail. You know, it's like, it's not the institutions packing their bags. It's the institutions getting the call from their sales guys who are pitching their TardFi clients. It's like, you should probably put, at least 1% of your net worth into Bitcoin. I mean, they'll go through the whole sell. Like, maybe it's just a hedge for, a schmuck insurance, But this thing is that, it's the best performing asset in human history. And you might want to get 1% exposure to it, maybe 1%. And then they come in and they buy the low-hanging fruit. Because to a newbie, imagine the sell. Imagine you're sitting there doing the sell, telling these people everything you know about Bitcoin. And they're like, I got to do it. Okay, you sold me. And then you go, okay, well, first what you got to do is you got to go get yourself a cold storage, or you got to get a ledger or a cold card or something like this. This is going to be your bank. You're going to be the person. You are the custodian. You're going to actually hold this. No one else is going to be responsible for all of it. And then I'm going to point you into this exchange where I'm going to do bull Bitcoin because it's non-custodial. What's non-custodial? Well, it means they'll never hold your Bitcoin. They'll just send it right to your cold storage. Well, what if I don't have cold storage? Well, you got to get one. Well, how long does it take? Well, probably a week or so. Well, I want it now. Well, I know, but let's start now, and then, well, how do I get it to bull Bitcoin? Oh, you just E-Tran it. E-Tran, like, you know what an E-Tran is? Yeah, I do. Well, that's all you do. You E-Tran it, and it goes right to your cold storage. Well, I don't have my cold storage. But they still have FOMO. So they phone their guy who's been ripping them off for 20 years, their financial advisor. And they're like, you know what? Can I get exposure to Bitcoin? But first, they got to get past the goaltender, the financial advisor. Now, unless he's got his marching papers, because that's all they do is they get their marching papers. And Monday morning, memo, we're buying Royal Bank stocks. Hit them with the dividend bullshit, right? So you got to get past the goalie, the financial advisor goalie. Because there's unless they're incentivized with the trailer. Remember, they need their money, right? Well, why would I expose you to Bitcoin if I can't get my base, right? It's insidious market and industry. But I could go on forever. And so they end up buying the low-hanging fruit, IBIT. Why not buy black? If you're going to buy an ETF, why not? I mean, it's the best honeypot in there, right? It's the best way to get the beneficial entitlement to the upside. Won't really own it. Are we going to hit 125? Are we going to hit? You know what? What did I see that some guy said? I don't recognize Sotha Otoj. He said, "Can we get this old fat guy off the side?" Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's time. Where is he? Fat man, bottom. Boom! Gonzo. There he is. Well, it's exciting enough that we don't need a big old fat man. That, in case you're new here, because I don't recognize your comment, that was a whale, right? So that's what I always used as my reference to whales, these big old fat nerds that live in their parents' basement that have $1 billion in Bitcoin. They're just sitting there going, oh, sell, buy. And they're just moving the market. But now we're going to get rid of those people. We're seeing the redistribution of this. If these whales want to sell at 100K because it's a big old round number, and God love them for holding to 100K. That takes a lot of balls. But they live in their parents' basement, so there's not much testosterone going on anyway. So there's not much balls to really be. Anyway, God love them for holding for that long. If they want out now, that's great. They're just going to put it back into the honeypot, and the next generation of Bitcoin hodlers will get in. And that's the only thing I don't like about this, about these inflows to IBIT, is that I'm not sure you get orange pilled. And getting orange pilled is one of the blessings of becoming a Bitcoin investor. You do become orange pilled, and you learn the history of not only Bitcoin, but the entire monetary system. Whether you like it or not, you have to, because it's almost like when you start investing in Bitcoin, it's almost like you buy a collector's vehicle, right? And if you don't know how it works, well, what are you going to do if something breaks down? You got to know the inner workings. And in order to fully understand and be orange pilled, you have to understand the inner workings of the monetary system. Now, there's too much for anyone to really know, because it's set up to confuse you and to make you go, I'll get a CBDC. I'll get a digital ID. That's what they want. But so when people are buying these ETFs, I don't think they get fully orange pilled. And being orange pilled is where you build the tenacity and the discipline to see the bigger picture. You become a better investor. And when you become a better investor, like a 4-year low time horizon investor, your whole life changes, because now you see things in larger cycles, even your own physical health. Now, I remember I've always been somewhat athletic. I don't even know why. It's not like I come from an athletic family, but I always was a little more impatient with things. Like, I want to do this and I want to see gains right away. Now I don't even do that. To me, it's a process. Exercise is just a discipline. Is there gains at the end? Yeah, but I don't really care, because it's the process and the discipline of having a physical fitness regime. Investing is no different than having a physical fitness regime. You're just in there and you're doing the due diligence and you're learning as much as you can. And when you can invest, you can invest. But most people don't have that. It takes them a long time. That's what orange pilling gets you. So when I talk to certain people, even now, like there's some guys at the old squash club who I managed to convince to get some exposure at 60K. And God, do they want to sell it now? It's not the worst idea, right? They made 100% on their Hail Mary best advice they ever got from a guy in a towel. So I almost don't blame them, but I always tell them, like, you'll regret selling it here. And then of course, in a year from now, when the price tanks, they'll be like, God damn it, I should have sold it. And then I'll be on the same thing. Oh, now you got to hold it. It's going to 3X from here. I'm almost better off just not talking about Bitcoin to people, but it's my duty, on life, as I still have the illusion of free speech in Canadistan, to try to orange pill as many people as I can. It's really the reason why I do this, right? So I'm on the right side of history. I always tell Duke, my boy, it's like, you got to be on the right side of history. You got to dig in to things that you believe in, and do your best to share the idea, but there's no hill you really have to die on. And it's always better to be nice, kind than right, especially in this day and age when there's so many retards out there. It's better just sometimes to be just nice. You know what? You're right. And you walk away. You waste your time. Okay. Mark Liano, I rode the Bitcoin roller coaster for the past 7 years, never taking profits, up and down. This time I will take profits and buy some physical gold maple leafs. I actually did the opposite, Mark. I had gold, and at the bottom of the market, I sold that and turned it into Bitcoin. And people ask me, do you regret selling the gold? I'm like, no. I mean, gold, as great as gold has been this year, hasn't outperformed Bitcoin since the bottom. I mean, Bitcoin's up over 100K. You can't. Gold would have to get to about like 15,000 or something, or 10,000 and to be on par with the gains from the low bear market. But again, hard assets is where it's at. Mark, hard assets are where it's at. My neighbor, he has this crazy business, and he does really well. And unfortunately, because he's also a fireman, so he's working 9 to 5 or whatever, 6 to 6. Then he has this business that's going well, and when the money comes in, he doesn't know what to do with it, and so it gets trapped in a bank, you know. And most people don't know that it's being debased. What? Think about this. This is normal, right, for us, but the normie will hear currency debasement, and they'll be like, "Well, what the hell is currency debasement?" They have no clue what's happening in the monetary system. So they think everything they're doing is just normal. Well, I make this money. I pay this ridiculous amount of tax. And then I stick it in a bank. That seems funny to us, right? But this is just the plight of the normal person. You don't get a financial education and then get out into the workforce or the business world or whatever. You get out into the business world or the workforce, and then you get a financial education shotgun style. Like, well, as the money's getting taken for taxes and it's getting debased and there's inflation's going up, you're like trying to figure out what to do with it. You're so lucky you even made $1, especially in Canada. There's so many restrictions. It's just, it's like they're de-incentivizing people to be entrepreneurs here. It's like the amount of hoops you got to go through is insanity. Why anyone would do it. I mean, here we go. This is nice. 124.8, we're above. If we can close, even closing this, like closing today above 124.6 is really, I'm not asking for much to the lords of Bitcoin. I'm just saying, can we please just close today's candle above 124.6? Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video with someone